Welcome back to our channel, Psychisma. Most men think caring deeply is what makes a woman stay, but here's the uncomfortable truth. It often makes her pull away. Women don't ignore men because they don't notice the effort. They ignore them because of how that effort is delivered. The guy who gives his all too soon, who showers her with attention and validation, often ends up invisible in her eyes. Why? Because abundance without challenge creates boredom. It makes her feel like she's holding all the power. What women actually respond to isn't desperation disguised as care, but presence mixed with restraint. A man who values himself first communicates that his attention is rare, not free, and rare things are always valued. In this video, we are breaking down the psychology behind why women ignore the men who care the most and what you can do differently. 1. Caring too much too soon signals. Caring too much too soon signals weakness, not strength. Weakness, not strength. Here's the first truth men hate to hear. When you care too much too quickly, it doesn't come across as love. It comes across as insecurity. Most guys think the more they give, the more a woman will appreciate them. They flood her with compliments, bend their schedule around her, and make her the center of their world within days of meeting. But here's the harsh reality. Instead of making her feel special, it makes her feel like you don't have a life outside of her. And that in her psychology translates as weakness. Women are wired to respect men who respect themselves. When your every action screams, "Please notice how much I care," you're essentially handing her the frame. You're saying, "My value depends on your validation." And once she senses that, she loses interest. Not because she's cruel, but because biologically and psychologically, women crave strength. They want a man who can stand on his own 2 feet, not one who needs constant reassurance that he matters. Think about it. If you meet someone who showers you with gifts and attention before you've truly earned it, you don't value it, you question it. You wonder why they're trying so hard. The same thing happens in dating. Too much too soon feels forced. It removes the mystery. It kills the tension. And without tension, there's no attraction. Here's where stoicism comes in. A stoic man doesn't rush to prove his worth through excessive care. He doesn't beg for her recognition with non-stop gestures. Instead, he lets his presence do the talking. His actions are measured, intentional, and never over the top. He knows that the fastest way to lose respect is to treat her like a queen before she's even shown up as a worthy partner. The fix. Stop equating effort with obsession. Care about her, but care about yourself first. Keep your purpose, your boundaries, and your independence intact. When you hug her, compliment her, or make time for her, it should feel deliberate, not desperate. That balance creates attraction. She'll feel cared for, but she won't feel smothered. And here's the paradox. When you stop trying so hard to prove how much you care, that's when she finally starts noticing you. Predictability kills attraction. 2. Predictability kills attraction. One of the biggest reasons women ignore the men who care the most is because those men become painfully predictable. Every text gets an instant reply. Every date suggestion is met with whatever works for you. Every time she hints at needing attention, he's right there dropping everything to make her happy. At first, she might smile at the effort, but over time, predictability drains the excitement. Why? Because attraction thrives on curiosity, on not knowing what's going to happen next. When she already knows you'll always be available, always agreeable, always there the second she calls, the mystery dies. Women don't ignore men because they're caring. They ignore men because that caring becomes routine, robotic, and obvious. The guy who sends good morning and good night texts every single day without fail thinks he's being romantic. But in her psychology, it's the opposite. It signals, "I have nothing better to do than think about you all day." That kind of energy doesn't spark desire. It creates comfort at best, boredom at worst, and boredom is lethal in attraction. Here's the deeper truth. Women are wired to test a man's frame. They want to see if you'll collapse the moment they push. If every time she delays a reply, you double text, or every time she cancels plans, you reschedule instantly, you're teaching her that your world revolves around her. You're no longer a challenge, you're a convenience. And convenience is never attractive. A stoic man understands this. He doesn't withhold care to play games, but he also doesn't make himself predictable. He stays centered in his purpose. Sometimes he responds right away, sometimes later because he's actually busy building his own life. Sometimes he plans a date, but he does it on his terms, not by chasing her availability like a lost puppy. His unpredictability isn't chaotic. It's grounded. She can rely on his presence, but she can't predict his every move. That balance keeps her intrigued. The fix. Break the cycle of predictability. Don't automate your affection. Don't make your attention a script she can recite before it happens. Be consistent in your respect, but flexible in your delivery. Show care, but keep your individuality intact. When she doesn't know exactly what's coming next, she stays alert, invested, and interested. And that's when your care feels powerful, not suffocating. Over-investing creates unequal value. 3. Over-investing creates unequal value. Here's another hard truth men don't like to face. When you invest more into her than she invests into you, she stops valuing your presence. Most men who care the most make the mistake of pouring everything into a woman who has given them very little in return. They'll rearrange their schedule, spend money they don't have, and constantly chase her attention, all before she's even proven she deserves it. And while he thinks this is proof of love, what she feels is imbalance. In psychology, humans naturally undervalue what comes too easily. When your energy, time, and attention are given freely without her having to earn it, it doesn't feel like a gift anymore. It feels like background noise. It's the same way you stop noticing the hum of a fan in your room. At first it's obvious, but eventually it blends into the background until you don't even hear it. That's what happens when a man overinvests. He blends into the backdrop of her life. And here's the paradox. The men she chases, they often give less, not more. Not because they're selfish, but because their energy is scarce and deliberate. A stoic man knows his attention has value. He gives it with intention, not desperation. He invests in her only when she invests back. And that balance of give and take keeps the dynamic alive. She feels like she's earning his effort, which makes her respected. But when you overinvest, you rob her of that process. You remove the chase, the curiosity, and the need for her to contribute. You essentially say, "I'll do all the work, just don't leave me." And that is the fastest way to make her take you for granted. Women don't consciously decide to ignore men who care too much. It happens naturally because humans don't value what feels abundant and one-sided. The fix. Match her energy instead of exceeding it. If she's putting in effort, match it with your own. If she's distant, don't chase. Let her create space to step forward. Keep your care proportional, not unlimited. That way, she feels like she's part of the investment too. And when she contributes, she values the bond more because it wasn't handed to her on a silver platter. That's the psychology men need to understand. Equal value creates respect, and respect fuels attraction. Needing her validation destroys respect. 4. Needing her validation destroys respect. One of the deepest mistakes men make when they care too much is tying their worth to a woman's approval. They think that if she compliments them, answers quickly, or shows affection, it means they're enough. But the moment she pulls back, ignores a message, or seems distracted, their confidence crumbles. Suddenly they're anxious, overthinking, and scrambling to do even more to win her attention. What they don't realize is this. When your self-esteem is in her hands, she will eventually drop it. Not because she's cruel, but because no woman wants the weight of being the only source of a man's confidence. Women are incredibly perceptive. They can feel when a man is desperate for validation. They sense it in the way he hovers, in the way he asks too many "Are you okay?" questions, in the way he lights up only when she praises him. Instead of reading this as love, they read it as dependency. And dependency, no matter how disguised, always kills respect. A stoic man flips this script. He doesn't look to her to define his value. He walks into the relationship with confidence already intact, built from his purpose, his discipline, and his control over himself. When she compliments him, he appreciates it, but he doesn't need it. When she pulls back, he doesn't collapse. He stays steady, and this steadiness is what makes her respect him more because she sees he isn't leaning on her for emotional survival. He's choosing her from a place of strength. Think of it like this. If a man is a mountain, she can lean on him, rest against him, and feel secure. But if he's a paper wall, constantly shaking, cracking, and needing her to hold it together, she won't feel safe. She'll feel burdened. And no woman desires to carry that burden long term. The fix. Detach your worth from her reactions. Care for her, but never beg her to validate your existence. Build your confidence from within through your discipline, your purpose, and your ability to master yourself. When you hug her, when you talk to her, when you give her your attention, it should come from overflow, not emptiness. That difference is everything, because when you stop needing her validation, you start earning her respect, and respect is the foundation of true attraction. 5. Making her the priority instead of the prize, making her the priority instead of the prize. Here's a subtle but devastating mistake. Too many men put a woman at the center of their universe before she's even proven she deserves that place. They cancel plans with friends, neglect their goals, and reshape their lives around her schedule. At first, she might enjoy the attention, but deep down it changes how she sees him. When a man makes her his priority too soon, she stops viewing him as the prize. And once you're no longer the prize, she starts ignoring you. Psychologically, attraction is rooted in perceived value. A woman is drawn to a man who is already valuable without her. She wants to feel like she's stepping into his world, not like she instantly became his world. When she sees that you're willing to abandon everything just to keep her close, it doesn't register as devotion. It registers as desperation, and desperation kills desire faster than anything else. Here's the paradox most men miss. The women they chase end up running, while the women they treat as the prize end up chasing them. Why? Because humans want what feels rare and earned. If you hand over all your time, attention, and energy without her lifting a finger, she won't cherish it. She'll take it for granted. A stoic man knows his priorities, his mission, his goals, his health, his discipline. These come first. A woman can join his journey, but she doesn't replace it. He gives her care and attention, but not at the cost of his own purpose. That balance is magnetic because she feels his presence while still seeing that he has a life bigger than her. She respects him because he respects himself, and that respect is what keeps her invested. Think about the men women obsess over. They're not the ones dropping everything the moment she texts. They're the ones who make time, but only when it fits into their already full and purposeful life. That doesn't mean ignoring her. It means valuing yourself enough that your care doesn't feel cheap. The fix: stop making her your world. Invite her into it. Keep your priorities intact, keep your discipline sharp, and let her see that your life is already meaningful without her. When she realizes she's with a man who treats himself as the prize, she won't ignore him. She'll fight to keep him. Over-explaining your intentions ruins the mystery. 6. Over-explaining your intentions ruins the mystery. Most men who care the most fall into a trap. They explain themselves too much. Every gesture, every hug, every text is followed by a long explanation of what they mean, why they did it, and how much they care. They think this makes them look sincere, but in reality, it makes them look insecure. Instead of letting her feel the moment, they try to sell it. And nothing kills attraction faster than a man who can't let silence or subtlety do the talking. Here's what women actually respond to: mystery, not confusion, not games, but a sense of depth that doesn't reveal itself all at once. When you tell her everything you feel right away, when you break down every little reason behind your actions, you rob her of curiosity. You take away her chance to wonder about you, to think about you when you're not around. And in psychology, curiosity is the seed of desire. Without it, she gets comfortable, and comfort leads to indifference. Think of it like a good movie. If in the first 10 minutes the director spoiled the ending, would you still be interested? Probably not. You'd check your phone, zone out, or walk away. That's exactly what happens when you over-explain yourself in dating. You give her the ending before the story has even begun. A stoic man never feels the need to over-explain. He communicates through his presence more than his words. When he gives a compliment, he lets it stand. When he plans something, he doesn't justify every detail. When he hugs her, he doesn't narrate how much he wants her. He lets her feel it. His calm restraint makes her lean in, makes her wonder, makes her invest, because he understands that part of attraction is built in the unspoken. The fix: say less, show more. Don't overshare your feelings in an attempt to prove how much you care. Don't explain away every action to avoid being misunderstood. Instead, stand firm in your intentions and let her experience them. When she's left to interpret your silence, your steadiness, your confidence, she fills in the blanks herself, and when she's the one filling in the blanks, she stays hooked, intrigued, and engaged. That's how you keep her attention without chasing it. 7. Forgetting Self-respect turns care into clinginess. Self-respect turns care into clinginess. At the core of all these mistakes lies one fundamental issue. Men forget their own self-respect when they care too much. They start with good intentions, but little by little they cross invisible lines. They tolerate disrespectful behavior because they don't want to lose her. They accept being ignored, cancelled on, or treated like an option, convincing themselves that patience will eventually earn her love. But what it really earns is her disinterest. Because the moment you show a woman that you're willing to abandon your own standards just to keep her around, she stops respecting you. And once respect is gone, attraction disappears. Here's the harsh truth. Women don't leave the men they respect. They may test them. They may challenge them. But if respect is intact, attraction can survive. When respect is broken, no amount of care will bring it back. A man who allows himself to be walked on in the name of love doesn't come across as loving. He comes across as weak, and weakness, no matter how sweetly disguised, kills desire. A stoic man knows the line. He cares deeply, but never at the cost of his self-worth. If she disrespects him, he calls it out or walks away. If she ignores him repeatedly, he doesn't double down with more attention. He pulls back his energy. His message is clear. I value you, but I value myself more. That balance is what keeps her attraction alive. She sees that he won't crumble just to stay close to her. And paradoxically, that's what makes her want him more. Think about it this way: if someone keeps giving you everything, no matter how poorly you treat them, you eventually stop valuing what they give. It's human nature. But if someone has standards, if they care but also demand respect, you rise to meet them. Women are no different. They may push, they may test, but they're always drawn to the man who refuses to betray himself for attention. The fix: protect your standards at all costs. Care, but never chase. Love, but never beg. Give, but only when it's deserved. When you hold your self-respect higher than your need for her approval, your care stops being clingy and starts being powerful, and that's the kind of man she can't ignore. Outro. At the end of the day, women don't ignore men because they care. They ignore them because that care comes from a place of weakness instead of strength. When you overinvest, over-explain, or abandon your self-respect, your effort loses all value. But when you flip the script, when you stay grounded, unpredictable, and balanced in your attention, your presence becomes magnetic. Women crave the man who gives but never begs, who cares but never clings. So remember this: caring isn't the problem. Caring without self-respect is. Build yourself first, and she'll never be able to ignore.